Ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on with the YouTube family? It's your boy Vinny D. Welcome back to the vlog, Shuckin' and Driving, where you might catch us shucking or you might catch us driving. Okay, today we're going to get into a little bit of a driving matter. This one here is dealing with how I got my refund from the California DMV concerning my commercial truck. Okay, so just a little bit of a background to the story. I started my business out in California at first, moved it out to Texas. That's a story within itself. So we'll get into that probably in another episode. But in this one, we're going to talk about the refund, okay? So I moved my business out to Texas, and I bought a commercial truck from the Ritchie Brothers auction over in LA, California. Okay, so if anybody's familiar with the way that you would get a temporary tags in order to move your vehicle in California with a regular vehicle, then you know that you would have to go there and pay for the registration first. Then they would issue you temporary tags, and then you'd be able to put it in your car. You could move it, you could let it sit, or you'd have a specific amount of time before you had to complete the registration process. And this is what I thought I had to do. Okay, so I'm green, so I don't know much about the trucking business, right? I'm just hopping in this stuff feet first. If you were there for my intro video, you can check it out, at the end of this one if you like. But then you know my backstory, and you know that the situation that I'm in concerning my kids and then also religious holidays, then you know that it's hard for me to just, go to a company and request these certain days off, because right now they're not giving that out at all, right? You're required to work a certain amount of miles, and that's what they expect you to do, right? But that's a whole nother story within itself. But anyway, continuing on, I did this thing. I went out, bought my truck at the Ritchie Brothers auction. They had it all ready. When it was time to go pick up the vehicle, I was like, okay, I gotta go over here and get my registration settled so that I can move my truck and take it to Houston, Texas, where my business is located, right? And I know in your head you might be thinking, well, why is this guy going to get California registration process going when his business is located over in Texas? And that's the issue. You see, I didn't know. So hopefully this helps somebody, right? You'll probably never even make this mistake again. And don't even ask me why I thought this, but I did, because I'm just familiar with the way that it is with a personal vehicle, right? So that's what I did. So I ended up going to the California DMV over in Claremont, Oakland, California. Paid for my registration, got the temporary tags, everything was all set up. And another thing, right, just to back it up a little bit, right, my situation, I was not going to be driving interstate. I was going to be driving intrastate. Intrastate is when you go over the road, so even that wouldn't have anything to do with my registration, right, and causing me to get a California tags, because I was going to be over the road driver, right? So I just did everything wrong, right? And I should have I could have paid somebody to do it, right? And it would have cost me probably about $500 to $700, and they would have got everything straight for me. I would have never made this mistake, and I would have been on the road at this time. But that wasn't the case. I made my mistakes, and this is where I am at right now. Very expensive lesson, but saving $500 to $700 just cost me a lot in the long run. But that's okay. It's a lesson, expensive lesson, but a lesson nonetheless, right? But fast forward to my situation. So I got my registration at the California DMV. This was right around COVID time, happened the end of 2022. Started moving my truck over to Houston, probably about, I want to say February, if I'm not mistaken, of 2023. And I pick my truck up and I go over there, right? So on my way down to Houston, Texas, I got my temporary tags. I'm thinking I'm straight. Boom. Driving down there, get down there, and I go to register my business in Houston, right? I do everything. I register my truck, send them all in to the tax collector. Okay. And then I went down to the city of Texas, or to city of Houston, and then I registered the truck there, and everything seemed to be fine, right? They had papers and everything. I got papers. There was nothing going on, right? Fast forward a little bit later, when it was come time to pay for my registration, they said that I had an open end registration. Okay. Now, this is a couple months later. So I'm not even thinking that I had registration over in California, right? Duh. Right. But at this time, man, I'm so anxious to get in the truck. I'm probably looking over a lot of different steps. On top of that, I was, dealing in ignorance. So I didn't know what I was doing. It just created a whole big mess. Like I said, it was user error. It's not their fault. It's my fault. Right. But at the same time, it just took a long time for me to get anything done because, like I said, we were in COVID. All the paperwork was backed up. So they didn't, I was contacting everybody. They didn't know what was going on. So they're trying to figure this stuff out. And, they told me that, well, when they get to my paperwork, they'll call me. Okay. So like I said, this was like February, March area. The allotted time that they said, the estimated time that they said that they would get to my paperwork was sometime in November, October, that area, right? So that's a few months, right? So at this time, I'm paying my insurance, my commercial truck insurance. I'm paying all the expenses that I have to run this business, right? And at this time, I moved my license over to Houston just to save money on my commercial truck insurance. It knocked it down like $300, right? For it to be in the area of Houston, for my license to be in Houston instead of in California. So I was like, I'm all for it, right? So I do that. So what this does is I can't even go back home and drive for Uber and Lyft because you make way more money out there than you do out here out in Houston. Okay. So I do all of that stuff, and I'm just waiting to hear back from my stuff. So months go by, January, March, February, April, May, June, all of these months is going by, and I keep calling back because my stash is starting to get low, right? I got bills in California. I got bills out there in Texas. I got bills with the truck, paying for parking and everything. All of this stuff is starting to add up, and I'm just looking at my hold on one second, guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, man. I know it's a change of scenery, but I had to run some errands real quick. But anyway, I'm looking at my bank account just dwindle away, you see. And everything was just coming down on me at once, And finally, I got a call back from the people. They got to my paperwork, and they had told me that there was registration started in another place. Now, since it was an auction, I had to go research and find out where it was at. That's what I was advised. The Texas DMV told me to go research where everything was at, or where, the truck came from. And I found out that it came from a FedEx company in Minnesota. Okay. So I called down to Minnesota and was talking to them about the registration. And now I'm talking to the DMV, right? And they're telling me that the truck is not in their system, right? So whatever the situation is, it's not being held up in Minnesota, okay? So what do? I think in my head, I'm like, you know what? I bet you it's when I started that California stuff, right? So all of these months had gone by. So now I have to go and talk to California, right? And I still had a little bit of money left, and I could have did everything that I needed to do with the money that I had. I had enough for gas. I had enough for my portion plates. I had enough for all of that stuff, right? But here's the thing, right? So when I call California DMV, I call the location or the branch that I had got it from, and I asked them, I said, look, I need the refund of my stuff back. I made a mistake. The truck is registered. The business is over in Texas. My truck is down in Texas. I did not mean to register it through you guys. Not only that, but I was interstate, which I told the lady who at the DMV, and I was just supposed to be intrastate, and it wasn't supposed to be interstate in California at all. Matter of fact, the truck is too old to even run in California at that time, right? So the lady had gave me a number to call, right? And I will post the information up, somewhere, either here or there, but I'll post the information up in the corner somewhere, or even put it on the whole screen so you guys can see this stuff. Okay, this is the statement of facts form I was telling you about, where you will fill out your license plate number, your VIN number, and the make and model of your vehicle. And at the bottom in G, you'll also spell out your statement of facts. Make sure it is very brief, one line if possible. I ended up calling this number, and I'll post the number and everything for you guys, let you guys even see the form, right? And it's a declaration of facts, okay? So they told me to do that. I did it at first, and they told me to certify the mail, okay? So that way that I have a receipt and it could be tracked, and everything will be in order, and it'll let me know whenever somebody picks up this stuff, right? So I do all this stuff, and the interesting thing here is month goes by and I don't hear anything back from them. So I call them. They tell me that there's nothing on record, right? Now, this is a certified mail, so this is supposed to be tracked and everything, and it wasn't, right? That's another issue, okay? So I'm like, okay, screw it. I'll just do the process over again, send you guys the more information. All in all, it took me about maybe 2 or 3 more months after that. This all happened last year. So no, actually a couple years ago, this was 2023, when I packed up and shipped everything back down, right? Around November. So I get that all taken care of, right? I go back and forth with them for a while during that 2 to 3 month span. And I have to send them information twice, right? So I finally get somebody on the phone, and the guy just tells me, he say, look, cancel business in Texas, not in California, cancel registration. He said that's all I needed to write, right? So I wrote that in there. I did all of that stuff. And then I was told to call. I was told later also that I was supposed to call the California branch, from the same guy. He said, and call them and tell them that I needed to cancel, right? I had done this before. I told them that I didn't want to register my business in Texas, and they shot me over here to fill out this declaration of facts, when all I had to do was register, do the declaration of facts, and then also call the Claremont office and tell them that I wasn't running in California, that the truck was in Texas, and I needed to cancel, But those are the key words: cancel, business not in Texas, in California. That's all I had to do. You see, and then I'll go ahead and show you guys the forms again. But here's the thing, it just took almost a year for me to get that stuff out. During this time, I'm paying my insurance. I already cashed out for the truck because I paid cash for the truck. Plus on top of the business expenses, my BOC3, my MC 150. I got my authority going. I got my DOT number. All of this stuff, all of these payments that I have, my medical card, and I was just paying. You got to go to a medical facility, and you got to register with them in order to do drug screens, pop-up drug screens. You also got to, it's just a whole lot of stuff. So it just really drained me out, man. It just became a really large expense, man. It dwindled me down to damn near nothing, So I had to end up coming back to California, but I'm about ready to go, man. I got my stash almost built back up again, a little bit at least enough to go out there and run and have some money for gas and a couple breakdowns if something happens, But all of that said, man, you guys, hopefully this stuff helps you out. If not, then maybe you got a different situation. But when dealing with the California DMV, just be ready, man, because it's a lot of stuff. And I would say that it probably took a little longer than it should have, because it was during COVID time and nobody was really in the office. everybody was still working from home and they had backed up paperwork. These people over here had backed up paperwork in Texas. These people in California had backed up paperwork in California. So it just drugged me out, drugged me like a gator, drugged me to the bottom of the depths, left me down there so I could die and then get them ready to come down there and eat. But that's what happened to me, man. They drugged me into the deep water, and I didn't drown all the way. I ended up escaping, but I had to go to the hospital or lay up for recovery. And now I'm almost recovered, and now I can go. I'm gonna be going back out to Texas pretty soon. I got to get a couple airlines fixed on my truck. And then, I'm going to take you guys out there with me, man. But hopefully this helps somebody out. I know this video's long. I know there's a couple cuts, scenery changes, bing, bing, but that's cool, But anyway, y'all have a blessed day, man. Thanks for rocking with your boy. And y'all have a blessed day, and I'll holler at you next time. Peace. Ladies and gentlemen.